Okay, now we know how to set up ViewModel and how to communicate with the UI layer, right? Now let's build a app that takes advantage of ViewModel and UI layer and create app um, that loads some data, such as let's go and create a app that what's it gonna be? Well, I want to create an app that asks you some questions and it lists you some options, and you're gonna choose the correct one. If you choose the correct one, the score's gonna increase. By building this app, we're gonna learn how to load data. That's the only thing that previously I didn't teach you, so we're gonna learn that. Let's create a new empty activity and we're gonna call it quiz. Let me go to the canvas and try to imagine how the app's gonna look like. So we're gonna have the score here, and we're gonna have a question appear here, and we're gonna have 4 buttons. And when we click the buttons, we're gonna check if the answer is correct. Okay. Let's wait for this to build. Let's go and create the data and UI layer, which is essentially just folders. Package, inside of the package we need data, and we already have the UI, but we cannot access the UI folder with this tab. We're gonna go to the project files. Okay, now inside of this we're gonna create one view model. I'm gonna call it quiz view model, and then we're gonna create the quiz screen. This is composable. Just a modifier placeholder. Import it. That's the wrong thing. By default, let's also give it the default. Okay, my bad. Let's go to the main activity and remove all this and use the quiz screen and pass the inner padding to the modifier. Inside of the data folders, let's create a data source. And also create a uiState, quiz uiState. Okay, now we gotta figure out what state we're gonna need to keep track of. Well, there's the current question. and we're gonna probably need the index of the, I'm gonna create a list of questions, and let's go and ask the ChatGPT to create a list for us. Create a list of question objects with question and options with 4 options and 1 answer. Okay, let's go to the data folder and use this data, which accepts a question and options, which is a list, and correct answers. Instead of using the data source, we're gonna probably use the object. So what I'm gonna try to do is, since we have a list, I'm gonna first display the first question, and there's gonna be buttons for next probably, and a button for skip. So we just use the val, which is fine. So now we have a list. Current question. Let's go to the here. Val current question, which is gonna be string. By default, questions is gonna be the first question. So questions get 1. Okay, so let's question. That's not it. So that when we access the first index, we get the question object. But we also get the correct answer. We want to keep this, normally we would want to keep this private, but you know what, let's just keep this simple. We need to put this inside of the constructor, not there. Let's go to the ViewModel and go to the Android and scripts app. We're gonna need to add the dependency, which is this, or you could probably search for the ViewModel dependency. ViewModel, what is this? Lifecycle version. Oh, sync now. Now we just need to extend our class from the ViewModel. Also instantiate that and create a private uiState. We're gonna use a mutable state flow for that. Mutable state flow, not state. Inside we're gonna pass quiz uiState. Let's create the backing property while uiState and just make it read only. uiState as state flow. So when we call the uiState value, we get the object. Where is our state? We get this object, quiz uiState. Inside of that object, we have a current question. Let's go here. Let's try to create the UI for now. Where is it? Let's create a card. I think we need a column to stack on top of one another. We need a card. Inside of the card, we need a text. Text for now, let's call it some question. Let's also import this. Let's connect the ViewModel to the quiz screen. Quiz ViewModel, and remember we're going to use the small letter ViewModel instead of the capital one. Where are we getting this? Okay, so I went back to the app build Gradle file and added some more lifecycle dependencies. Where's our quiz screen? So the this ViewModel needs a ViewModel compose. If we go to it here, I believe I didn't have that. So I didn't have that. Okay, that's the only thing that I needed. I probably added it right here. Lifecycle ViewModel compose. Okay, now that we added to the ViewModel to the composable, that's one thing that needs to be done. Let's try building it. Then we need 4 buttons. Let's create a button. Let's create a range 0 to 1 to 4 for each. Let's create a button. Inside of the button, we need a text for the option. Let's create view quiz uiState, and let's get the quiz ViewModel and uiState collect as state. Let's create a text. Inside of the text, we need to pass in the options. Let's get the quiz uiState and value for the object and options. We get the value, which is a questions object. Current question, we have a current question. Okay, in the correct question, we get the options. We use the it. Let's try running it. What happened? Quiz keeps crashing. Chances are it's probably out of bound error, I believe. Failure exception, array index out of bound, length 4, index 4. Okay, 0 to 3. What about that? It's a pretty common error we need to watch out for. In the text, let's use the quiz uiState value. Inside of the value current question. Okay, so we have the question and the options. Okay, I think this is taking way too long. I'll be back after creating the button for skip and the next and the score. Okay, so this is I built the app. This is how it looks like. Let's go to this screen, and it has kind of become complex. So let's start with the column. Inside of the column, I have the card, which is this, and I am aligning it to the end. And then I have some spacers, just 16 dp, and then I have a card. Inside of that card, I have some text, and I will give it height and max width, and then I have a spacer with the height 15 dp, and then I have these 4 buttons. Lazy vertical grid, I can create buttons that are in 2 columns like this, and I have passed a 4 to the items, and inside of that item I am creating buttons, and then I have some spacer with pad height 15 dp, and then 2 buttons inside of row. Let's look at the uiState. The current question is an object, question object. We get the default, by default the question object is gonna be the first one from the list, questions list, and initially the score is gonna be 0. If we go to the, where's it, our screen, I am passing the score to this component here. As you can see, quiz uiState value score to string, and then inside of this card component I am passing the current question, and for every button I am passing options.get. It becomes the like 1 2 3, so I'm getting the value from by using the index essentially. I'm in here, and this is I have created 2 functions that checks answer and goes to the next question. So whenever you click on these buttons, this check answer is gonna run. So this is our buttons. Whenever we click this, quiz ViewModel check answer is gonna run. We're gonna pass the string of the button. If you go to the ViewModel, I have also created the current index using mutable state of, and I am passing that current index to this uiState. If you look at the next question, whenever I've added the next question a function to the next button. So when we click that button, this function is gonna run. First we're gonna increase the current index by 1, and then we're gonna get the next question by getting the increased index. And then we're gonna also get the current answer by using this uiState.value current question current answer. If you look at the question object, we also have a correct answer. We need to use it like this. This doesn't work. Private while current answer is equal to uiState value current question that current answer. We can't just immediately access it. We need to use the get. Currently our app does not indicate if we select the wrong answer. We probably want to change the background color or something. But if we do select the correct answer, our score is going to increase. We also want to add a functionality where we move to the next question when we select the correct answer, but for now that doesn't I haven't added that function. We can when we click the next button, we get to see the next question. When you select the correct answer, we get the score is gonna increase. Skip, I haven't added any functionality to the skip button. Although I didn't explain everything in this video, but I just wanted to show you that we can now add data to the view model. Essentially, we're just adding the data to the uiState. Although I wanted to make the app simple, I think it's gotten out of hand. I'm gonna leave the source code in the description. You could check visiting my GitHub repo. Anyway, in the next video, I'm gonna look at navigation. I'm gonna try to create simple apps instead of creating the whole app. That's pretty much it for this video. This is a basic way of passing data to a state or using data in the view model, but I want to refine this a little bit. Currently, we are passing a question object which asks the answer as well. So if we go to the question object, okay, we have passed the correct answer. We don't want to do that. Also, in the view model, I want to make this quiz uiState object more flexible. Instead of giving the question object, I want to make it more flexible. Like I can give another data type instead of this question. What is it? So currently it just accepts question object, and I want to use another object. So how do we do that? In the documentation, you'll come across objects, data classes using interfaces. Let's use interfaces to do that, make our class more flexible. I need to create a question interface now. So let's go. Okay, so I defined the interface. We use the interface keyword, and then we define properties. These properties are called abstract properties because these are not instantialized or initialized or whatever. So now I'm going to use the interface. So now we are getting some errors. For now, let's just set it null. Maybe something test. Okay, we're not gonna worry about that right now. So now we can pass object, that has these two properties. Currently, if we look at the questions, this object, this questions list contains questions object, and this has three properties: question, options, and another one correct answer. So let's see what happens if we have more than the required properties. Okay, a required questions interface and found question, so it doesn't accept. So let's go to our ViewModel, and we need to convert the questions object into something different. We're gonna do that in the ViewModel. We can use the map to transform the array. Okay, for testing purposes, I am using Jupyter Notebook. If you don't know what this means, what this is, it's okay. So now I have a question object and a list of question objects, right? This in questions variable. Now if I map over the questions array, I get all the questions object. Now instead of this question object, I want to return a modified object. You can't, like in JavaScript, you can really return a array inside of a square brackets. That's not possible in the Kotlin. So instead, we're going to create a new class that accepts questions and options. Okay, so I have created a new class, client question, that accepts questions and options. Now we're gonna map and return this objects. For now, let's just call it a result. We can pass the question and options. Let's check the result. Let's run it. It's a quirk of this software. So now we have instead of questions objects, we now have client questions. With this, we got rid of the correct answer. I then used the implementation I showed you in the data source file. So I have the client question object, and I am transforming the questions into client questions. This list doesn't have correct answer. Let's go to the ViewModel, and now instead of using the questions, we're going to use the client question. Okay, so the error is because we didn't add the contract to the client question object. Okay, so the reason we're getting this error is because, well, we need to pass the question. We need to override the question and option properties in the interface. Can we just pass the question? replace with field. And then we're gonna just override the questions and options. Let's go back to the ViewModel, and we can now use the client questions. So let's see the correct answer. We're checking the value inside of the uiState. We don't want to do that. Instead, we want to check the this questions object instead of client questions. So the current index is this. So we probably want to use the questions get current index. Check answer, user answer, test checking answer. If okay, this is a separate property. So this is the function that checks the answer. I have some bunch of logging. So the user answer we get from the events, I believe, and the current answer is this one. And we check the uiState value, where if it's correct, we are increasing it. So we're also using the current index to get the questions from client questions, and we're also getting the answers from questions. And the answer is private, so there is no way the clients can know about it. The clients only get the client questions that does not have answers. So what's the big deal with using interfaces? Now we can just use different classes. That the only requirement is just it implements the questions and options properties. So now if I define test question object that implements the questions and options using the override method, and I'm mapping over questions object. These questions can be anything, right? I can use the another object that has questions and options, and then I map to the test questions. This UI, this quiz UI state only accepts question interface. So as long as any classes that have these two properties, I can pass it. Let's go to the ViewModel and test it. Okay, as you can see, we don't get any error. Let's go back to how it was. Okay, what are the errors? So let's just replace wherever we are using the question subject, questions list with client questions. So if I do run it, it's running. So if I press the correct answer, it should update, but it's not updating for whatever reason. Okay, from the logging, I can see that instead of checking, so this is the checking function. The user answer is oxygen, and the current answer is this object. So this is not what we want. Instead, we want the answer, which is correct answer, right? So how do we get it? So questions.get gives us the object, and we want to access the correct answer. I believe that should work now. Okay, that works. You can see the numbers increasing, and don't worry about this. What is this? Rounded borders. This I used this project when I was talking about material theme. So we're gonna reiterate interfaces and classes again, and I want to show some weird behavior. The class as. Okay, so what's the deal with the variable declaration in the constructor? So I'm talking about this, right? In the class, we have a constructor and we're using the while, right? This is a variable declaration or something. Sometimes you can omit this. So what's the difference between having it and omitting it? Just so we're clear, while is an immutable variable and var is a mutable variable. So we can change it. I believe at this point we know. So now I'm just using this variable declaration or whatever, and I am extending this animal class. So what this variable does is that it creates its own property, and it also has the inherited properties of this class animal, and we are overriding it. So there's this make sound property in the animal, and we inherit it and we override it. Okay, I created a simple class and another class. So this class can be extendable because we know it uses open keyword, and we're extending it using this syntax. This type as a constructor, and this must be initializer. We don't need that. Okay, for whatever reason we need to initialize it to extend it. So we initialized it. Now let's see. Let's create a variable with small letters and instantiate it. Name, for name we're gonna use test. Okay. So now if we can access the name, right? We can access the name, and let's try accessing the inherited property, which is max age. Okay, so now the difference, we can see the difference. So if we go here and we can see the differences by setting the data types. So if I set it to cage data type, let's see what happens. So we can access both our own properties name and the inherited property. What about if I set it to the superclass? Now we can't access our own property. We can only access the inherited property. So I guess that's the only difference between using this. Also, so we use the while. Let's see. Let's omit that. So this creates our own properties, but if you don't want to create your own properties and just want to pass it to the superclass, we can just omit it. So the now super class expects this name in the constructor. So whenever we initialize the this child class or whatever, and we pass the name, and this doesn't create his own property. Instead, it's gonna pass it to the parent. This value is coming from the parent superclass. So let's create an interface. Let's say I want to create an animal interface. I believe we already have that. I'm probably using it, so let's create a cat interface, right? We can use the interface keyword and followed by cat, and in the body of the interface we want to create a name. So every cat must have a name, and this is going to be a string. So all the properties are method inside of these interfaces are called abstract properties and methods. So what does abstract properties and methods mean? Well, they are properties and methods which don't have implementations. So a class that extends this interface or as a construct must provide the implementation. Let's create a class that extends this interface. Let's say Garfield, and this extends this cat interface. And now this needs to override the abstract properties. So we're gonna just use the override name. Okay, we just need to give the while and we should be fine. This type is final, so it cannot be inherited from. And I don't know why I got that error. I just needed to run it again. I think it's a software bug. So we can now get the name of the cat. So this Garfield class extended implemented the interface cat. In the previous video, I created interface that we can use using the uiState. Where is it? Which was this questions and object. And we used the override in the constructor itself. Here we are overriding in the body of the class. So because it has a while inside of this constructor, it's probably gonna, this property is gonna be inherit its own properties. And since it's overriding the questions interface, it's gonna like implement those properties. We can't pass this to the interface because it's an abstract. Interfaces are type of abstract classes, so all the methods and properties are abstract methods and properties. Anyway, I guess that's pretty much it.